Hello, yo plebs. Welcome to episode 11 of BOB Radio. BOB stands for Build on Bitcoin, where we talk to Bitcoin builders from around the globe. Today, we have another special guest. We always have special guests on We Sovereign, it seems. But today, we really have a really special guest because he is one of the residents of our Genesis cohort of BOB Builders Residency. We announced it a couple of weeks ago, and he's a project lead at a project called Joinstr, which is doing Coinjoin over Nostr. Think of it as a decentralized Coinjoin protocol, and we can get into all of that. How are you doing today, sir? Floppy, welcome. Floppy Disk Guy, I guess it's your full name, but we'll refer to you as Floppy.
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. Okay, well, we're really excited to have you, and obviously, we look forward to spending time together whenever you arrive, at the residency program, and I know the other residents are excited to meet and work together. Cool. So with that, usually we start off the program with rapid fire questions. Floppy, so why don't I go with Sovereign? Please take this section away.
Right, Floppy. This is just to warm up a little bit. So I'm going to shoot you the first question.
Okay.
CBDCs or shitcoins?
I think both are bad and bad form of money, and shouldn't be using any of those things. And as a Bitcoiner, it doesn't matter if CBDCs or shitcoins exist. We just need to focus on Bitcoin.
All right. Second.
Nice.
On Bitcoin, would you rather have perfect fungibility or perfect privacy?
I think both are achievable to some extent, but it's not private or fungible by default. You need to take care of certain things while doing Bitcoin transactions.
When you're not coding, you are?
I'm listening to music and drinking beer.
All right. This one is interesting. Is ossification an attack on Bitcoin?
I don't believe in ossification, or it doesn't look like it would happen anytime soon. And we shouldn't even be focused on predicting when would ossification happen. It would happen automatically when we would not be able to have consensus on any soft forks. We won't be able to decide if we can implement something on Bitcoin, and that would happen in a few years, or maybe even after we die or something. So we shouldn't be talking about it. That will happen automatically after a few years.
Right, interesting. And last one, why not Bitcoin?
Sorry, I didn't get your question.
Why not Bitcoin? This one is a tricky one. One has like brain farts with this one.
Can you explain your question? I didn't understand.
Take it as you want. Why not Bitcoin?
I mean, why not Bitcoin? Bitcoin can be used for different things, and it means different things for different people. For me, it's more than an investment, and for some people it's investment. For some people it's a medium of exchange. I think we should take it as a censorship resistant network which can be used for transacting. So that's it.
All right, we have rapid fire questions done. I'll pass the mic to Piccolo and we'll follow up with the interview.
Great. All right. Yeah, those were interesting. Let's get into this next section of the program, Floppy, and we'll talk maybe 5 to 10 minutes about your personal journey and your philosophy, if you will. So first question, who is Floppy Disk Guy, aka Floppy, and what is your orange pill journey, sir?
So I've been involved in Bitcoin since 2015. It started with darknet markets, where I saw some people using Bitcoin, accepting payments in Bitcoin. So that was kind of interesting. First time I saw something which was not government currency, but still used as a form of payment. Then I started researching about it and how everything works, including mining. Mining was the most interesting thing at that point, because I couldn't believe that people can mint or create money using their machines at home. So that was kind of interesting. Then since then I've been involved in different projects. I had my own projects and things, and worked for some companies in between. uh, Recently started working on a project called Joinstr, because it's related to privacy, and I'm mainly interested in Bitcoin for privacy and security.
Excellent. Okay, given your focus, this is a follow-up to that last question. Given your focus on privacy and security, I mean, was there something in your life that triggered that, or you were always red pill, if you will? How did that come about, your focus?
So I was always interested in securities since my college days or school days, when I was doing anything on computers. So security has been always a thing that I found interesting, and I was interested in breaking things and then trying to improve them. So that was a kind of thing even possible in Bitcoin projects, trying to find bugs and then trying to improve them. Privacy is actually very important when you look at money and digital money. You don't get privacy when you use government currencies using any form of payment, credit card or online payments, or even cash has a certain level of privacy. But if you look at Bitcoin, all the transactions are broadcasted and everything is publicly available on blockchain. So that is not good for your financial privacy. Nobody else should know how much you own and what kind of things you do with your money. So privacy is an important part involved in money. Apart from money, even in your daily life, you need some privacy. Like uh, we are not using camera on this call. These basic things that you use, that you should have some consent of other people when you're taking pictures and all. So privacy is an important part of anyone's life.
Interesting. I mean, since you've been interested in this in college and working up to where we are today, and you've seen developments all around us, right? Where it's almost the opposite, with the world engulfed by social media, giant super apps, where privacy is not the default. And you remember Zuckerberg said, oh, if you shouldn't need to be private if you have nothing to hide, where it's almost psyoped people. Well, people are psyoped into giving their information away for convenience. I mean, how do you feel about that? I mean, did that give you more conviction? Are you annoyed, dismayed? I mean, what's your reaction to that?
Can you repeat the psyop part? I'm sorry.
Yeah, because you know how like people now, when they get on Facebook, they get on Instagram, all that stuff, they trade away, right? They give away personal
Yes.
and sometimes very intimate information just for convenience. And
Mhm.
in this day and age, almost stupid for likes, you know what I mean? Not even for monetization. How does that gel with what you're working on and your focus? Because that must be, I don't know. How do you feel about that? Because you've been in this for so long, and the world around us has developed into this giant mess, I guess.
We obviously do not have any privacy, p- especially when using online things or any social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, anything. We cannot expect privacy on such platforms or any websites. and even other things that you do in your normal life, they have a lot of privacy implications. So yes, I do feel bad about this, but there are certain things you can do to improve privacy. For example, if you are not okay with Twitter, you can use Nostr, which has different trade-offs. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we've always, yeah, you loud and clear, Floppy. Keep going,
Okay.
sir. Keep going, brother.
So there are certain trade-offs. For example, if you're not comfortable with Telegram or a certain instant messaging app, you can use Matrix or something else which better works for privacy. There are always alternatives. So it depends. As an individual, what privacy is all about the individual. What information do you want to share with others, or publicly? What information about you should be public? That depends on that individual. So some people might be comfortable or okay with certain information, and other people might not be okay with that information.
Yeah, that's reminds at least me of the previous episode where we were talking with Giacomo, Dangu, and Gandalf. And we all landed on the definition of privacy as defined by the Cyberpunk manifesto, or shortly thereafter, as and Dan said, quoted, as the selective revelation of information about oneself, right? So yeah, that really resonates, because exactly what you just said, where people, well, different people are different, and different people are very different and selective about what information they share about themselves, especially online. So okay, cool, cool, cool. All right. Maybe the last question of this, personal and philosophy section. What is a Bitcoiner to you, Floppy?
Any person who is involved in Bitcoin, either using Bitcoin for payments, or has any involvement in Bitcoin, building a project, or even some people are writing about Bitcoin. They have their own blogs, or maybe writing articles for a website. So they can be a lot of things in such an open source project, which is kind of decentralized. So it's not just about developers. You can be a Bitcoiner by just using Bitcoin every day for different things.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
very broad. So you're not one of those guys who says that, to be a true Bitcoiner, you gotta run your own node, you gotta always mix your coins, you gotta do always air gapped cold storage solutions. As long as you use Bitcoin, think about Bitcoin, or talk about Bitcoin, is more your definition, correct?
Yes, you can be a better Bitcoiner if you're running your own node, full node, but it's not compulsory or necessary. You can even be using clients which do not have full node and still be a Bitcoiner. And with time, you can learn. And it's not difficult to run a full node for Bitcoin. You can always do that. And if you don't have enough space on your desk, you can always use a prune node,
Mhm.
which, yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, excellent. All right, let's move on to the projects and any sort of ventures that you're working on. Before talking about Joinstr, can we ask about highlights or past projects that you worked on prior to arriving at Joinstr, to give us a background of maybe how or why you arrived at Joinstr, if you can share?
Uh, there are a few things which I can share, but it might actually dox me, because a lot of projects I was working previously were related to my real identity. So
Only the
I
non-docs project, or very generic description is fine, Floppy. Yeah, we don't want to go down that,
Okay.
doxing rabbit hole. Yeah.
So I've been involved in different privacy projects earlier, and uh, one other thing which I really want to work, and I had created a proof of concept, is similar to Machan for offline Bitcoin transactions, but that only works in Africa. So we do not have any such things in India. Even in India, there are a lot of places where internet gets shut down by governments for different reasons regularly. So I think there should be an option here, so that people can do like Bitcoin transactions, basic social media stuff using SMS, text messages.
Mhm.
Uh, that will
Were you
be
gonna
better.
say were you gonna say like Machan Kura? I think you kind of cut yourself off, right? Like the service that you were talking about, similar to Machan Kura is what you were trying to say.
Yes, similar to Machan Kura, but it doesn't work in. It only works in Africa, I think, for
Right.
now.
Okay. Cool. Cool. All right. So what led you to Joinstr to sort of, come up with the idea and be the project lead for it? And then we can get into what it actually is.
Sure. Before Joinstr, I also want to mention that I was even reviewing a lot of Bitcoin Core pull requests for the last few years,
All right.
and
Okay.
I still do that.
Nice.
Not all the pull requests, but the things that I find interesting. If
Right.
I Okay, and so Joinstr is a Coinjoin implementation using Nostr, and because it's based on Nostr, anyone can be running a Nostr relay and coordinate the transactions, coordinate the Coinjoin rounds. So it's decentralized, similar to Join Market, and it doesn't have any centralized coordinator like Whirlpool or Wasabi. There are a few other differences which makes it easier to understand, it easier to use, or maybe even easier to contribute if you're a developer. uh, it's written in Python, but you can write it in any language. It has a simple implementation in which you just publish different events and create PSBT, do the signing part, do the coordination, and publish everything on Nostr. So that can be done easily using any language, and it doesn't have any complex things involved. If you're trying to contribute as a developer in this project, and then it doesn't have fidelity bonds like Join Market. There's no requirement for fidelity bonds. It has a better UI UX. I've already created a web interface, so you can use it
Mhm.
as a website. And I'm working on Electrum plugin. Once it is completed, users can do CoinJoin without a full node, because Electrum doesn't require a full node if you're using one of their default servers.
Fascinating. Okay. Can just step back a little bit because maybe a couple follow-up questions from your description. Doing the coin join over Nostr, what's the advantage actually of using Nostr as, the data transport layer, right? That's what you're using Nostr for, the relays and things like that. What's the advantage of that?
So I could have used something else which is similar to Nostr or a
Hmm.
distributed network.
Right.
But the reason is Nostr is relatively new, and you can try to uh, change a lot of things. You can have your own relays, and a lot of Bitcoin developers are involved in Nostr right now. So that was one of the reasons I got interested in Nostr, and then most people were using it for social media apps. But I thought it can be used for other things, and I tried using it for CoinJoin, and it worked. So that's the reason I'm using Nostr. And it was last year, I think in August. I shared the proof of concept on mailing list, and yes, since then I've been involved in this project.
Okay, very nice, very nice. And and for, well, let's, another question is, you said that in this case you don't need fidelity bonds or any coordinator. How, what is the exchange mechanism? You know what I mean? Yeah, what is the whole, like the process of, you know, coin joining and then getting sort of, you know, your new coins and the, you know, change output, all that stuff. Can you describe it? I mean, is it different from regular coin join, or is it exactly the same as what you would do in a join market mechanically?
So this is how it works right now. You have you'll need a Bitcoin core wallet for Joinstr right now because the Electrum plugin is still not developed. So you in your Bitcoin core wallet, you'll have some inputs, and obviously some addresses can be generated for outputs. So the moment you run Joinstr script, Python script, it will register one of the inputs from your wallet and publishes on a Nostr relay that you're connected to. If there are some other people, like 4 other people who are using Joinstr at the same time, and they have uh, the same relay, you have some common relays between those users, then they will also publish one of the inputs from their wallet to the Nostr relay. Once 5 inputs are registered and the script recognizes that it can see 5 inputs on a Nostr relay, it will automatically create a new address in your wallet and register it as an output. Then the same process happens and 5 outputs would be registered. And once 5 outputs are registered, we have 5 inputs and 5 outputs. So script automatically creates a PSBT using those inputs and outputs. And now you have a PSBT which should be signed by everyone. So since it is published as a Nostr event, everyone can see that. Your client can automatically read that PSBT and sign it for you. Once it is signed, it is published, then it is combined, finalized, and broadcasted as a Coinjoin transaction. So this is a simple process, and for now we have a fixed amount for rounds. Like I was using 0.01 for testing, but I plan to have customized amounts for rounds. I mean, the users can decide what will be the amount for a round when
Okay,
they start a round.
I see. So as you're publishing sort of your inputs into these, you know, relays and finding common relays, there's no bottlenecks with regard to Tor, is there? Because that was always something I found, you know, frustrating if you want to do joint market.
You can use Tor as a proxy when using Joinstr, so that you don't share your IP address with the Nostr relays. But you can even use a VPN.
Right. Yeah.
There's no Tor involved in the at protocol level. There's no Tor involved in Joinstr.
Okay. Okay. So it's your option what you use. It's not Tor by default, is what you're saying. Okay.
Yes, users can use Tor or VPN as a proxy when they send something to Nostr relays. But there's no Tor involved by default in this process. But I plan to use right now I'm using a new public key and for each event, so that you cannot find out who published the input and who published the output. There shouldn't be any relation between the inputs and the outputs, but I plan
Mhm.
to use Tor circuit later for each request, so that you have a new IP address for each request. But users can use VPN for now.
Right. Okay. Just when you were describing the experience and, you know, having the Bitcoin core wallet now for, you know, testing and all of that, as you test out the kinks, presumably, you know, once you've sort of put it to the test, trials and all that stuff, you could probably move on to and implement it in, you know, let's say other wallets that are commonly used like Sparrow and things like that, right? Because you're describing all the different functionalities that people are quite familiar with, you know, pushing PSBTs around, uh, those types of things. Correct? I mean, it's not limited to Bitcoin core wallet, is it?
Yes, it can be implemented in any wallet, and I plan to do that in future. For now, I'll be focusing on Electrum plugin. Then, if that works fine, we can even try to implement it in on other wallets, and it will be
Right.
easier
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah. Precisely because, like on Sparrow, you connect to your like RS server anyway. So once you get that integration right, it yeah should be a smoother process, I guess. Okay, interesting. All right. So who is the target or who are the target users? Floppy. People already doing, you know, coin joining on join market, you know, Wasabi and Samurai wallet users, or just anybody, or you see more people coming in from the Nostr side because, you know, that's gaining quite a bit of traction.
Yes, target audience is basically everyone who uses Bitcoin, but I think initially the people who are involved in Nostr might use this because it's based on Nostr. And I want to make it as simple as possible so that even new Bitcoin users that have recently started researching about Bitcoin, even they can use it without worrying about the extra details of implementation and everything.
Yeah. And I'm actually convinced that, yeah, Bitcoin core stuff isn't too hard to figure out. I mean, look at all the freaking inscriptions and ordinals, right? Uh, you know, ETH heads figured out how to do all this shit on Bitcoin. So, you know, it's not that hard. It's not beyond capacity.
Yes, it's all about the incentives. So they had some incentives and motivation for learning these things.
Yeah. Bitcoiners, sometimes we're just too lazy, aren't we, Floppy? We kind of just like, we like hodling. And that's like, okay, let's pontificate about the meaning of, you know, energy, life source, how it relates to Bitcoin. And, you know, well, these guys are inscribing shit on the chain.
But I've seen a lot of interesting projects recently in Bitcoin as well. People are working on a lot of cool things.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah. Which ones? Because that was one of the questions later on, but we'll bring it up now. Like, what other projects in Bitcoin are you keeping an eye on that interests you specifically?
I like miniscript policies. So there are some projects
Okay.
and people working on miniscript. I like those projects. There's even a project called Coinstr,
Okay. I've come
COINSTR. So
across it. What is it?
it's basically a project based on miniscript policies, but uses Nostr for communication. So
Ooh.
if you want to create something using miniscript policies, but you need to coordinate between 2-3 people, you can do that using Nostr.
Oh, all right. Fascinating. Cool. Anything else?
I think there was even a wallet called Lina, which uses miniscript policies and time locks. There are few other projects that are planning to use miniscript policies, and I've been in touch with people uh, who are doing research and presentations related to miniscript policies. So I find those interesting, and I think people would be using miniscript policies for a lot of projects in future,
Yeah.
especially if we have some covenants uh, using CTV or any other soft fork in future.
Right. Yeah, we would tend to agree because, we were educated on Miniscript and the policies and how that all works by the BDK guys when they spent some time here last year. Fascinating. And just like anything in Bitcoin, once the development gets to, let's say, a certain tipping point and it becomes, usable, just like RPC calls are RPC sort of commands, right? You got to have enough of them for it to be useful. You don't want to be able to just to do two policies. You want to be able to do, customized policies. So yeah, I think probably
Yes.
2023, 2024, definitely Miniscript is, going to be one of the things at the forefront, aside from integrating Nostr into, Bitcoin projects. All right. Maybe just to circle back a little bit, Floppy, on, what do you see as key challenges for Joinstr, and I guess in terms of implementation and then adoption?
I think implementation is fairly simple. The main challenge right now is getting more users and developers involved in it, because I cannot do everything alone. That will take a lot of time and efforts. Plus, we do need a community for every open source project. So I need to work on those things. I'm just waiting for a few things to be completed. Plus, I'm excited for the BOB residency in Bangkok, which is in a few weeks.
Oh
And
yeah, us too.
so I think by the end of this year, I hope we'll have a community for Joinstr and people doing coin joins, trying to contribute in different ways. Like, for example, don't even need to be a developer to contribute to Joinstr. It lacks a proper documentation right now. So if you want to write about Joinstr or do some documentation work that explains it in a better way with diagrams and everything, you can even do that.
Okay, understood. So yeah, why don't we give you a little bit of time to appeal or show to open source contributors out there? I mean, why should they care about Joinstr and come join you on this open source project?
I think it's using Python, which is fairly simple for any developer to understand. There's nothing complex in the project. Plus, it's based on Nostr, which is exciting and still growing with different apps and things being developed. So you'll learn a lot. And plus, since it improves privacy using Coinjoin, that'll be a bonus. I think we might end up building a Coinjoin implementation, which is the best implementation among all the other Coinjoin implementations. So there's a lot of room for experiment here, and I don't mind. I'm open-minded enough to do a lot of experiments and try new things in this Coinjoin implementation, which might not work in other implementations. With this point, I also want to share something else which I forgot earlier. So recently, I found a way to do the coin join process in less steps if we use a sig hash flag called all anyone can pay. So I'm planning to implement that and change the process in Joinstr. That will reduce some steps, and it's fairly easier process compared to the normal process in which we do inputs, registration, then outputs, then signing, and so on. So there are a lot of things which we can try and other implementations cannot try, because they have already moved on to bigger things, and they already have a complex architecture which cannot be changed suddenly. But we can experiment with a lot of things, and you'll learn a lot of things if you contribute to Joinstr.
Cool. All right. So you heard it here. If any of you guys want to contribute, whether in terms of just documentation, or you have some Python chops, or chops in any other programming languages, and you're interested in this decentralized Coinjoin protocol, you know who to hit up. All right. Okay. Sorry, I just was kind of skipping back a little bit on, oh, in terms of the details a little bit for Joinstr, the protocol itself, is there a default like minimum number of rounds that you have to do the coin join, or how does that work?
So there's no concept of minimum number of rounds in the protocol right now, but users can decide this for themselves at this point. I might bring such things later in the protocol, but right now there's no such thing, and users can keep mixing or keep doing coin join as they want. It can be 1 round, 2 rounds, and multiple rounds.
Okay, sweet. All right, so obviously still in the development, and would you call Joinstr in beta now, or are we still kind of deep alpha?
I think it's still an alpha, but if you are a developer or even a power user, you can still try to run this script and do coin join on Signet or testnet. And if you experience any issues, if you see any bugs, or you see an opportunity to improve anything, you can always let me know and we can try to improve it.
All right. Oh, Sovereign, I saw you turn on your mic. Did you have a question? You want to jump in?
I have a question from one of Bob's community members. Shout out to Eric. And the question is the following: do you think covenants would be like useful for Joinstr somehow? Do you think it could improve it?
Yes, covenants can be beneficial for CoinJoin implementations, not just Joinstr, but every CoinJoin implementation. The reason being, uh, with covenants, you can have payment pools, which is a form of sharing UTXO. So you're making it difficult, more difficult for the people who are doing chain analysis. So they'll have to figure out who does this UTXO belongs to. For now, you can see that one UTXO only belongs to one user, but in future, when we have covenants, one UTXO can belong to multiple users.
Okay, understood. No more questions from the community.
All right. Yeah, that was short. Okay. I think we're sort of moving, getting close to the end of the show. I'm running out of questions at least, and looking at where we are, super excited, Floppy. And I think, over the next 3, 4, 5 months, we'll, hopefully do really good things together. Bob will be there to support how we can. Most likely just cheerleading and putting you guys geniuses together and having you guys build and hopefully taking notes and learning along the way, so, and be the guinea pigs. Oh, that's one thing you can count on Sovereign, myself, and we have an intern at Bob Space for. Just use us as guinea pigs, man. That's the one thing. You're saying you need more users. Just, yeah, we'll happily be your test users, and we'll probably even, yeah, we can probably even recruit, right? Sovereign from the Bob community. We got some guys who are really quite deep into the technical that, yeah, would be more than happy to test and give feedback on, yeah, any cool open source projects, especially in relation to privacy and decentralized communication like Nostr. So yeah, so take that as you will, and yeah, definitely look forward to getting those interactions going and the creative juices flowing, if you will.
Yeah,
Did
it
you
will
want
be
to add
fun.
to that, Sovereign? Yeah.
Yeah, well, Bob's community, we have like technical people, we have Bitcoin users. So yeah, I'm sure we're gonna be able to, not sure if scale Joinstr, but definitely like test it out.
What do you mean? Not scale. We're gonna bring Joinstr to the world, man. We're gonna be the rocket launcher for Joinstr. All right. Okay. So towards the end of the show, we, before closing thoughts, we flip the table on our guest and we give you one question to ask to, myself, to Sovereign, to both of us, about anything. Or if you don't want to, we can just move to closing thoughts and wrapping. So, Floppy,
What
you
do,
have a question for us?
yes. What do you think would be the next soft fork in Bitcoin?
Oh,
Hmm. Sovereign, you want me to go or you want to go first?
I have mixed feelings with soft forks because, yeah, I'm not fan of like ossification at the moment, of course, but I think we have to be really careful with soft forks and the way they're like activated, because yeah, I wouldn't like to compromise Bitcoin main layer with soft forks. So when is gonna be like the next soft fork and why? I don't have the answer.
Okay. For me, I have a guess. I think the next soft fork will probably involve maybe Upvault, because that also includes the OpCTV. And, since we're doing soft fork, they might throw in one or two more things in there, but probably around that, as we were talking about covenants. And the reason I say that is, you keep an ear to the ground, you start hearing, a lot more, even just, let's say, the more technical and more vocal people coming around a little bit to CTV, and not shitting on the proposal so much, but then realizing that the reason it wasn't the bit 11.9, yeah, bit 119 received such pushback was the speedy trial, right? It wasn't. I don't think when people hear speedy trial because of the trauma, uh, they just immediately kind of just cringe and probably didn't really look into the GitHub page too much. But then once you have that wrapped in, let's say with a new guy who, James O'Byrne, the Upwall guy who understands, let's say, the social consensus more deeply, and let's say a more experienced hand. Yeah, it. I don't know. Do you feel? This is a question back at you. What do you think? Is because OpCTV seems to be warming up to people, or people seem to be warming up to that, isn't it? Once you wrap it up in Upvault. What do you think, Floppy? I don't know, because you're probably closer to it than I am.
I think it will be either OpCTV or maybe APO. There's even any pre-vote. There's another covenant proposal by Anthony Towns, in which there's also L2, which benefits Lightning Network. So I'm not sure what would people have consensus on. If people ask my personal preference, I would prefer OpCTV, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. Consensus is in Bitcoin is very difficult, and it'll become more difficult with time. We don't even have developers, a lot of developers involved in covenants right now. It's just a few developers and a lot of users excitement. So let's see what happens in next few months or maybe next year.
Right. Yeah, and yeah, you were mentioning all these things, and over time, I think some of these things even changed their names, didn't they? Like L2, I think got rebranded to something else. I don't know the name, but yeah, I still call it L2, the ELTOO, right? But they're calling it something else now. But yeah, we'll remember. like right after the show, probably. Okay, excellent. All right. So okay, Sovereign, we're moving to wrap. Did you have anything else to sort of, throw at Floppy, or should we move to closing thoughts?
Floppy, is there like any other similar project currently being built, similar to Joinstr? Any sort of competition?
I think there was one more developer who was working on a Coinjoin implementation using Nostr, but I've not seen any updates from that project or developer any recently. So I'm not sure if he has been working on it or abandoned the project. I'll have to check. Plus, there's a guy called Super Testnet.
Yep.
He had created a wallet based on Nostr, which by default does CoinJoin for every transaction. So that was just a proof of concept, but I'm not sure if anyone is working seriously on any of those projects. I'll have to check.
We should like reach out to these guys and onboard them to Joinstr development. Let's work together, man.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, give up on your project. Just work on my project. That's the Bitcoiner pitch. Alrighty. Okay. Floppy, man, this was fun. Oh wow. Time flies. Let's move to closing thoughts. Why don't you tell our audience, for those that want to get in touch, especially those who want to contribute to Joinstr, yeah, how to do that and how to get involved and how to reach you generally.
So I don't have any community for Joinstr right now. I'll have to create a Telegram group or something. But you can reach out to me on Twitter or Nostr. On Twitter, it's 144 4 times 0 bytes. That's the username. Or you can just search for devft0, or you can search for floppy disk on mailing list to get my email address if you prefer that. Yeah, that's it.
Excellent, sir. So with that, it's a wrap.